Today I'm going to show you how to make a Caesar salad from scratch. We're going to make the dressing, we're going to make the croutons, and I'm even going to show you how to clean the lettuce. The Caesar salad's creation is generally attributed to a restaurateur named Cesare Cardini, an Italian immigrant who operated restaurants in Mexico and the United States. His daughter Rosa recounted that her father invented the salad at his restaurant, Caesar's, when a 4th of July rush in 1924 depleted the kitchen supplies. Cardini made do with what he had, adding the dramatic flair by preparing it tableside in front of the guests, which you can find in some upscale restaurants. So for the dressing, traditionally you would start off with a raw egg and whisk in oil, but I've substituted mayonnaise here. So let me show you what I have. I have half a cup of mayonnaise. I prefer Hellmann's mayonnaise. I have 1 garlic clove minced. Next is 1/4 teaspoon of anchovy paste. Anchovy paste is a salty, oily paste made from the anchovy fish. This paste can be found in the tomato sauce aisle. You'll also need 1 tablespoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice. So let me show you how I prepare my lemon juice. I like to roll the lemon a little bit on the cutting board so it loosens any of the juices, so it's much easier to squeeze. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to look for any seeds. I don't see any visible seeds right now. So I'm just going to squeeze this right into a small portion cup. If I was doing a large amount and I saw a lot of seeds in it, I would do it over a strainer right into a small bowl so I can catch the seeds and I don't have to pick them out. Up next is a 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 1/8 teaspoon each of salt and pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of balsamic vinegar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. My bottle doesn't have a label, but it is Lea & Perrins brand. So let's get to mixing this dressing. So I'm going to take my mayonnaise. I just have everything in a small bowl. I'm going to add my garlic, my anchovy paste, my lemon juice, and my 1/8 teaspoon each of salt and pepper. And I'm going to mix this a little bit just to start the mixing process. Next, I'm going to add my 1/4 teaspoon each of the Worcestershire sauce as well as the balsamic vinegar, and I'm going to mix them well. Next up is going to be my Parmesan cheese. Now this is not the only Parmesan cheese that we're going to be adding to this recipe. We will be using some more later for when we mix the salad, because really the Parmesan cheese and the anchovy are what give it its unique and delicious flavor. Taste for seasoning and then refrigerate for up to a week. This is enough for about 4 appetizer sized salads. Next, I'm going to show you how to make some croutons. Make sure that you have some old crusty bread for this recipe. So I have about 2 cups of bread cut up into about 1.5 inch cubes, a 1/4 teaspoon each of onion powder, garlic powder, and salt, as well as about 1 tablespoon of grated Parmesan cheese and 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Let me just show you how I cut up my bread. I had a roll that I had in the freezer, so I took it out, I let it defrost, and then I just slice it up into large chunks. You don't want them to be too large that they are not manageable on a fork with a couple of leaves of lettuce, but not too small so they disappear in the salad. So I'm just going to combine all of my ingredients and mix them really well. I want to make sure that I do not leave any of that cheese and oil behind in the bowl. So I'm going to take the time to really mix it well to make sure that each piece of bread is coated evenly. I'm going to place them on a sheet pan. I'm going to put them in a 350-degree preheated oven for about 12 to 15 minutes, watching them to make sure that they don't burn. Take them out when they're nice and golden brown, as well as they are dried out and crunchy. Croutons add texture to a salad, so baking them correctly is important. Next, we're going to prepare our lettuce. This is romaine lettuce. It has a root end, and the root end is what holds the whole head of lettuce in place. So let me show you how I cut up my lettuce. Traditionally, they say you should be tearing lettuce, but I like to cut it so it's nice, even pieces of lettuce. I trimmed the top because it looked a little bit browned, and so I like to square it off also a little bit. And then I'm going to cut it in half through the root end, and so now I have two separate pieces, and I'm going to work with one piece at a time. I'm going to cut it down the middle depending on the sides. I saw a little brown piece, so I just tore that away. And then I'm going to cut bite-sized pieces, about 1.5 inches thick. I'm going to do this for the other half of the head of lettuce. I'm going to put all of my prepared lettuce in a bowl, and I'm going to show you how I clean it from here. Just make sure none of the core pieces of the lettuce get served to your customer or your guest, because that piece is tough. So let's clean the lettuce. I'm going to take all my lettuce to the sink, and I'm going to fill my bowl up with cold water. Don't use hot water because that will possibly wilt the lettuce a little bit. We want it to be nice, cold, crisp lettuce, so that's why I use cold water. You're going to fill it all the way up, and you're going to see that the lettuce is going to float. Okay, all of the dirt will sink to the bottom, and you're going to lift the lettuce up out of the water without disturbing the bottom. Make sure to clean the lettuce 2 or 3 times, making sure that the water is clean at the end, and then you can dry your lettuce. I'm actually going to use a salad spinner today. There's nothing worse than getting a salad that is saturated with water that hasn't been dried correctly. So let me show you how this works. I'm going to place my lettuce in the basket that is inside of the salad spinner. I'm going to scoop it out with a strainer or a slotted spoon, just to make sure that any of the excess water drips through. And I'm going to make sure that I don't disturb the bottom of the bowl. I just want to lift from the top so all of the dirt that has accumulated on the bottom stays there. I'm going to put the lid on top of the salad spinner. I'm going to press down the lever, and it's going to spin the basket that's in the inside. And the basket spinning is actually projecting the water to the outside of the basket away from the lettuce. I'm going to do this a couple of times. I'm going to stop it. There is a stop button on the top. I'm going to empty the water out of the plastic bowl, and then I'm going to keep on spinning it until no more water is left on the bottom of the bowl. Now I have nice dry leaves. The dry leaves are important because it will not dilute the dressing, and the dressing will actually cling better to the leaves when it is nice and dry. So let's assemble our salad. Let's see what we have. 1 head of romaine sliced and cleaned. I have my dressing. I have my croutons. I have about 1 tablespoon of Parmesan cheese. I also have some shredded Parmesan cheese for garnish, as well as some salt and pepper. So I'm going to use gloves to mix this salad. I find that using your hand, a gloved hand, you're able to mix this salad and coat all the leaves with the dressing better than if you were to use a tong. So I'm going to take half that dressing because I'm only making this salad for myself. So I'm going to take about half a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese, about 1 tablespoon of the dressing. Okay, get it right in there. Maybe a little bit more if you don't feel like it's enough. I'm going to season it with salt and pepper, and then I'm going to mix it with my hands. I'm not crushing the leaves. I'm just making sure that I gently distribute the dressing throughout the bowl. I'm going to taste a leaf for seasoning, and then I'm going to plate. So this is a small appetizer portion. So I'm just going to make sure that I place the leaves in the center of the dish. About 2 handfuls is a good size portion for 1 person for an appetizer. I'm going to top that with some of my croutons. About 7 to 8 croutons per salad is a nice amount of croutons. You're able to get 1 crouton for every couple of bites. Then I'm going to add some shredded Parmesan cheese on top for garnish, and that's my dish. This can be served as an appetizer or main course if you add grilled or fried chicken, steak, shrimp, or you can actually put this salad into a wrap. It's very versatile. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell for notifications for when we post new videos.